Hi, I'm Mark, your pickleball history buff, because, well, someone's got to do it, right? I mean, we're all obsessed with this glorified wiffle ball.
And I'm Raven, resident fact checker, here to make sure the pickleball history doesn't get too embellished. Though, gotta admit, this sport's rise is pretty remarkable.
No kidding. One minute you're minding your own business, the next you're dodging pickleballs at the park. But for a sport that's everywhere now, its beginnings were surprisingly low-key.
Low-key is putting it mildly. Think total improvisation. Picture this. Summer, 1965, Bainbridge Island, Washington. Congressman Joel Pritchard, his friend Bill Bell, they're looking for a way to, keep their families entertained. Badminton was the initial plan, but there was one small problem.
Let me guess. They forgot the net, or did the, what do you call them, birdies, suddenly go extinct?
Not quite. Believe it or not, they were short on shuttlecocks. So naturally, they improvise, grab some ping pong paddles, a perforated plastic ball, like a wiffle ball, and make their way to Pritchard's badminton court.
Talk about resourceful. Yeah, I've been tempted to try pickleball with ping pong paddles myself. But my idea of improvised games usually involves a lot less athleticism and a lot more tripping over, well, everything.
Well, in Pritchard's case, this little experiment of theirs sparked a phenomenon. They lowered the badminton net, came up with some, let's say, flexible rules, and bam, pickleball was born. And get this, it wasn't long before their friend, Barney McCallum, got in on the action.
So basically, we went from forgotten shuttlecocks to a national obsession. Who knew? What made them build a permanent court, though? Was it love at first serve, or was there something more to it?
I think it shows that pickleball, even back then, had that certain something. It wasn't just a way to kill time. They were actually enjoying themselves, something they wanted to be able to do again and again. So building that permanent court, it meant pickleball was more than a fling. This was the real deal.
Okay, so we've got this, quirky new game, a dedicated court even, a growing fan club. Did pickleball take the world by storm overnight? Or was it more of a slow, steady pickle roll to the top?
Not exactly an overnight sensation, but it did spread organically, very much so. By the late 60s, pickleball started popping up all over the U.S., mostly through word of mouth, it seems.
Makes sense when you think about it. Easy to learn, you don't need any fancy equipment. Heck, I bet my neighbor's dog could play a mean game of pickleball. With enough treats, of course.
And you've hit upon a key part of its appeal: accessibility. Remember those family-friendly rules we talked about? Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Smaller court, underhand serve pickleball was practically made for backyard barbecues.
Speaking of backyard barbecues, I mean, I've got a hilarious pickleball story. Picture this: my uncle goes for a swing, misses the ball completely, and sends his dentures flying into the potato salad. Classic Uncle Gary.
While your uncle's experience sounds not memorable, to say the least, it brings up something important about pickleball. All of our sources are full of stories about families bonding over this game. Joel Pritchard, he played with his family, even their dog, on that first court we talked about. And the McCallums remember them. They started hosting these regular pickleball get-togethers at their place. Seems like from the very beginning, pickleball had this knack for bringing people together, dentures and all.
You're right. Pickleball does have a way of creating those classic you-had-to-be-there moments.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all just fun and games, right? At some point, pickleball had to get, a little more official.
Exactly. Things took a turn in 1976. That's when pickleball held its first official tournament. That really signaled a shift, a desire for more structured competition. People were starting to realize that this backyard game had some serious potential.
1976. Wow. I had no idea pickleball had been around that long. I honestly thought it was a recent thing. Just something that popped up on my social media feed one day alongside those oddly satisfying videos of, paint mixing.
That's the thing about pickleball. It's got this rich history, but it's also riding a wave of, modern-day popularity. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we dive into the digital age of pickleball, let's go back to the late 20th century. Things were changing for the sport, and it all started with the USAPA.
Hold on. The USAPA, are we talking like a real official pickleball organization here, like the NBA, but for, paddle-wielding enthusiasts?
You got it. The United States Amateur Pickleball Association, founded in 1984, same year the first official rulebook came out. Big year.
1984 was a big year for pickleball.
Yeah.
And for leg warmers, but I digress. A national association, a rule book, pickleball is officially a big deal.
And it wasn't just about rules and regulations. 1984 was also a big year for pickleball tech. That's when the composite paddle was invented.
Hold on, rewind. Composite paddle, as opposed to what, a wooden spoon?
Funny you should ask. Before the composite paddle, players were, in fact, using wooden paddles. Imagine playing tennis with a wooden racket today. That's the kind of impact the composite paddle had on the game.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this game-changing paddle.
It was a revolution, at least in the pickleball world. Composite materials, lightweight but strong. They allowed for thinner, more responsive paddles. Players suddenly had more power, more control, more spin potential. Everything changed.
So we've got a national association, official rule book, high-tech paddles. Sounds like pickleball was well on its way, huh? To becoming the phenomenon it is today.
It was. But the real explosion, that happened pretty recently, thanks in no small part to, well, the internet, social media, all that.
Ah, yes, the internet age. It's really leveled the playing field for, no pun intended, sports like pickleball. You don't need, like, those big sponsorships or anything, a viral video or a passionate online community. That's all it takes these days.
Exactly. YouTube, Facebook, it's never been easier to share, like pickleball videos, tips, tutorials, you name it. Beginner lessons to pro matches, it's all a few clicks away. Plus, there are tons of, online communities dedicated to pickleball now. People connecting from all over.
I've gotten lost down that pickleball rabbit hole myself. It's pretty amazing, the community that's out there.
It really is. And that sense of community, the love for the game, that's what makes pickleball special. It's not just a sport. It's social, a way to connect, stay active, and have fun, obviously.
Couldn't agree more. But before we wrap up, got to address the elephant-shaped pickleball on the court. The future of the sport.
The million-dollar question. Will this pickleball craze last? Or is it just a fad? It's got a lot going for it, easy to learn, adaptable for different ages and skill levels, and like we said, it's just fun. But only time will tell if it's, here to stay.
Well, I'm rooting for pickleball, that's for sure. It's a sport built on, improvisation, inclusivity, and a good dose of fun. And honestly, in a world that takes itself way too seriously, that's something worth celebrating.
Well said. So to all you listeners out there, next time you see a pickleball game, don't just walk by. Grab a paddle, join in, see what it's all about. You might just be surprised. You might get hooked.
And hey, who knows? Maybe you'll invent the next big pickleball thing. Ping pong paddles meet badminton. What's next? This is Mark and Raven signing off. Keep on pickling, everybody.